Hi there, welcome back to the channel and thanks for joining me once again. Well, today I thought I didn't intend to make this video, but I'm going to make it anyway because recently you'll have seen, certainly my followers and subscribers will have seen that there's been a bit of controversy with this problem I'm having with the Meng Fokker DR1 triplane. I'm not going to talk about that today, but I just want to show balance, that I don't beat up suppliers when they have problems. Some suppliers deal with problems really well, particularly in terms of, you know, when model kits come. They're quite delicate items, aren't they, and they can get damaged quite easily in transit. Now this is exactly what happened to me with the Tornado Gr.4 from Italeri, and you'll see that this is kind of an update to my review, which was in two parts. I had to shoot it in two parts for reasons I won't bore you with, but really there was a major issue, and the major issue was that you will recall, those of you that saw it, that we had the clear part sprue, which was all the two major windscreen and the main canopy were off the sprue, and unfortunately, because of the nature of the design and the fact there's a few creases on the box, so clearly been dropped. I think, you know, there's a bit of a dink at one end and there's a bash at the other end, so clearly the courier wasn't exactly careful with it. So as a result of that, the parts were still in this bag, but they were grinding somewhat against the actual sharp edges of the sprue that had broken off, resulting in that's actually the windscreen here, resulting in the windscreen getting fairly nasty scratches on it that may or may not have been able to fix. But you know, this was not a cheap kit, as I pointed out, £140, so wasn't very happy with this. So I went to the retailer. Retailer had already not performed well on this, but not only because of the damage, but because that they just lost the item. First of all, this is the second attempt at delivering it. The first attempt just disappeared and we don't know where it went. Never came here. Don't know whether they ever got it back or what happened, to be honest, but we had to chase them and you know, eventually they sent out the second one, and then it came with this damage. Now they were sort of, oh no, we can't do that, you know. Then they started making excuses and looking at the photographs and saying, oh, maybe you can polish it out. Now we don't need that, not at kits at this sort of price. And we became a little bit upset about this, so I also contacted Hobbyco in the UK. Hobbyco are based in Milton Keynes, and they are the distributor for Italeri and Tamiya, so it makes them one of the big players. And there's a whole range, and I can't remember them all now, but there's a whole range of other kits. I think Zvezda is another one that they handle, border models, I think, and quite a few others. Anyway, I spoke to them, a couple of people at their place, and then a chap called Chris Keys got in touch with me. He's the customer services manager, I gather, and he was really helpful. But he said, look, you know, he said, this is, as you said, it's a very expensive kit, and normally we just break into a kit to take out the sprue and send it on to you. But if he does that with this, it's a huge sum of money that's going to waste, you know. So he said, do you need it straight away, you know, instantly? And I said, well, no, obviously not. No, I can wait, you know. Probably not going to build it straight away. And he said, well, if you give us a week or 10 days, you know, I'm sure I can get onto Italeri and probably pick you up another sprue and get it sent across. Well, he did this in less time than he promised, actually. Well, not less time than he promised. He did his job quickly. Fortunately, the Royal Mail took 8 days to deliver it, but that wasn't his fault. It was first class and it took 8 days. So that was the pre-Christmas situation with the COVID thing, you know. But the point of the story is this. Here it is, in fact. I have here, I won't get it out, but this is the sprue, and you can clearly see that all the parts are attached this time to the sprue with no problems whatsoever. Came in perfect condition. Delighted with that service, to be honest. And the point is that, going back to this main thing, that, you know, if you listen to the customer and respect the customer, and these people clearly did, which is more than the retailer was doing. The retailer was becoming really difficult, and, you know, frankly, I'm not going to name them, but they're north of the border. I'm never going to deal with them again. Their performance and their attitude was appalling, and Hobbyco's was excellent. So thank you, Hobbyco. Big thank you from me. You sorted this out nicely for us. And I just wanted to point that out because I think that people don't get credit when they get things right, when they put things right, and I think that people deserve the credit. So it just goes to show it's not that difficult. It's a legitimate complaint. I only wish that my friends at Meng would do the same, but of course that's another story for another day. Again, we are in discussions with them again at the moment about their disastrous triplane kit. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that today. I want you to show you something really interesting and new. Those of you that have bought this kit or are thinking of buying it, please take heed, because you might find this very useful. Two things I've acquired that go, excuse me, go beautifully with this kit. The first one is a poster a really cool poster now. This is actually a print, and it's readily available at the right end. Don't know how. Oh, let's get the right end. Here we go, and it's basically a print for the Tornado Gr.4. When they did the farewell tour of Britain, a poster was produced, and it is the farewell poster. Farewell to the fin. I hope that's coming out okay. I'm going to zoom in slightly here so you can see it a little bit better. A bit more I think. Yeah, there we go. Farewell to the fin. Obviously it's a bit curly at the moment, but it's just come out of the tube. And it shows all the squadrons that were running the Tornado throughout its life. This is the Gr.4, Gr.1/Gr.4. And it's a really nice thing. It shows across the top, obviously you have all the squadron insignias, and then you've got the Tornadoes with those insignias down on the side. And I think it was about, what did I pay for this? I don't know, 18 or 20 pounds I think, or something like that. It wasn't a lot of money. And I just thought how nice it was, you know, if you're buying one of these, or indeed if you've got the Revel 148th kit as well, the farewell scheme. Quite a nice thing to have, and you could get that mounted up. I've actually got, just behind me actually, across the side of my garage, is quite a nice Tornado scheme, which is in fact framed, which is exactly what you can do with this, of course, and I think that it would look really, really nice in a frame. So to show you that, I'll try and roll it back up and get it back in its tube very quickly if I can, and voila, that went nicely. And I'll just show you, bear with me, an example of what I'm talking about. And this is also from the same people. This was the, I'll come out for this one I think. So this was the Scud Hunters. I've got several of these actually, these squadron prints. But this was the Scud Hunters print, which was from the Operation Granby, the Gulf War in 1991. And I've got several like this that are framed, and I'm actually short of space, I haven't got them all up I'm afraid, but they're beautiful prints, and they really do go nicely. If you're a collector and you've got the kit, I would strongly recommend you maybe get one of these. Something quite nice to have. Or, if you know somebody that is a collector, perhaps it'd make a great gift. Perhaps I should have mentioned this before Christmas, I could have left it a bit late. Anyway, that's that. Now, going straight back to the present day, I've just acquired this absolutely superb book, and this is the ultimate companion for your Italeri Tornado. So it's by Spencer Pollard, who's a very famous, well-known modeller and writer in the, I can never remember which, there's so many aircraft model magazines, but he's very well known in the aircraft model magazines. It may be Aircraft Modeller International, I think, but if not, forgive me. He has written for a couple of magazines. Now, this is literally just arrived, so this is why I thought I'd share this with you. It's come in this wonderful, lovely, sort of sealable bag. It's got a picture on the back of his completed Tornado Gr.4. He's the first person, I think, to complete one that I know of. And it's got this rather nice Dam Busters squadron logo at the top, and then the motif Après moi, le déluge. After me, the flood. And that is the Dam Busters motif, of course, and it has some beautiful finishing and fantastic weathering on the kit, I've got to say. But it's a book, so let's have a look inside. If you'll bear with me, we'll get this open. And those of you that have got this kit, or getting it, or planning to get it, I think you'll find this might be a valuable asset, because it actually tells you how to build it, how to get the most out of it. So I'm not on commission, I'm just enthusiastic. Having had it arrive, I thought this looks absolutely amazing, and I think it's going to prove to be quite a good purchase. So first of all, it's like a card, nice card, like a postcard. You can frame that as well. That'll look really nice in a frame. So it's the RAF Marham Dam Buster 617 Squadron aircraft. Looks superb, got to say. So I'll put that over there. It's safe. And you also get this postcard. It really is a postcard this time, with a miniature version of it. Again, just showing the front of the aircraft. And this is rather nice as well. It's I think he's done really very well with this. I only found out about this by accident. It's something I saw via a link that came on Facebook. And I went on and contacted Spencer, and I have to say that he could not have been more helpful. He was really quick to respond, and he said yes. There was very limited numbers there. That might be a problem. There may be some limits, and you may not be able to still get them, but It's been produced, I think, sort of by some small printing company, I think, because it looks quite in-house, if you know what I mean. But it costs, I think, £35. But I've got to say, when you see what's inside, you'll realise it's quite decent value for money. So let's have a quick look. So basically, it's numbered as well. So I've got number 76, which is quite an honour, you know, especially when you put me on the list at the last minute. Because I came very late to the party, I've got to be honest. And it's got basically, you know, the intro, and it's got chapters that are Chapter 1, First Impressions, Chapter 1A, The Undercarriage Stores, Feast or Famine, Assembly and Initial Thoughts on Chapter 2, and then Further Thoughts and Assembly on Chapter 3. And then it gets into the build proper, and it's like Cockpit, Final Detailing and Painting, Painting, Initial Planning for the overall painting, and then Decals from the kit and aftermarket. And then you get into painting, tail feathers, and that staining to try and get the weathering effects that you need, because it's an aircraft that, yeah, it requires some skill, and it requires some imagination and plenty of reference photos to help you. And then it says Final Assembly, Engines, Weapons and Cockpit. And then in colour it shows the Gr.4, some photographs of the real aircraft. And also it talks about the Revel kit, the Revel and the IDS version. So let's have a look inside. It's caught my eye straight away because he says exactly what is true for me. He says when he first came across the Tornado, it was then the MRCA, the multi-role combat aircraft, and he said it was a great novelty of swing wings, which instantly placed it in the exciting futuristic bracket of things I'd seen on Jerry Anderson's TV shows such as Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet and UFO. And I couldn't agree more, and that's actually my first encounter with the Tornado. I'm going to bring you in here and let you see this in a bit more detail. And it's got the photograph of the original MRCA. There it is. That's the original Airfix one. I had that kit. It came with lots and lots of weapons loadout options, and it was white, and of course it was very new. That was in 1975, I think it came out. Then we get into, I'll have to bring you out now. Then we get into the first impressions of the kit, and it's got obviously talking about the other things that have been on the market, the sort of history of what's been there in terms of the Revel 1/32 scale kit, and then he starts to show in detail some of the sprues, all the photo etch parts, and he gives a really forensic description of the kit and how it's presented, what's good, what's not so good, things that you should watch out for. Talks about the schemes available here that come as standard, the decals, and then he gets into talk about the stores, and then he starts the assembly. And you can see here that he's using quite a few techniques and quite a few learnings about the construction that he's probably got from the previous experience of the Revel kit, and he's got one or two tips that are very, very useful. So for example, marking the ejector pin marks, and then it helps you to sand them. Obviously if you mark them with a marker pen, then you can, once the marker pen disappears, you know you've sanded enough. Then he's got lots of proper really good reference photos, and he's got the actual cockpit here, and then he's getting into the build and adding some detail. He's adding things like wiring harnesses and all kinds of stuff. It's brilliant, I've got to be honest. I saw the photos of this and I thought straight away, I've got to have this book. Now it's here in the flesh, I think it's actually exceeded my expectations. So hats off to Mr. Pollard for doing it. It looks absolutely brilliant. Talking here about how the swing wing mechanism works. He's talking here about the movable stores, which got this rather complicated sort of a pivot system, and he says, personally I've got no need for such frivolity, so I just glued everything in place. Wasting Italeri effort, but anyway, he's probably right, because if you're not careful you end up knocking them all off anyway. Anyway, then he goes on and shows him building up the whole of the cockpit area and all the pitfalls. He makes one or two observations as well where Italeri have dropped the ball in a couple of cases where they haven't done as much finishing around the top of the cockpit as they might have. Then there's some painting. It shows some real examples, and this is helping to give you the imaginative insight you need about how to create some of these effects. What materials to use, it covers that as well. How to do all your masking, and you know, the sort of step-by-step order of which colours to do first and then which to do later. And then he's going into the small parts, and then we talk about the decal options available from Hannants. In this case, he's talking about their product. And then we get into his later stages of the build, and then this is when your eyes start to pop out and you look at the quality of his construction. Is just incredible. I mean, really good, yeah. Yeah. So if I ended up with a Tornado as good as this, I think it would be probably the pinnacle of my career of modelling. Tail feathers, how to create them, how to get the staining on the tail from the afterburner. All the details about how to make your engines, get the metallic finish just right. So it's not too shiny, not too stained, getting the balance so it looks scale-like. And then all your stores with your Sky Shadow pods and your Hindenburg 2,250 litre drop tanks. I mean, it's eye candy. This it's really excellent. I mean, obviously I've had, as many people have had, the books from Tamiya and Brett Green about how to do the Tamiya Spitfire and the Tamiya Corsair and the Mustang and all that stuff. They are really, really good, and you just know that if he hadn't done this, I don't think this would have got done. I don't think anybody else was going to probably do it, because it's Italeri. Perhaps it's considered to be more of a local European sort of taste, and I don't think that anybody else was going to buy a book of this nature, quite frankly. A printed book of this nature, I should say. And then we've got some beautiful, beautiful images of the final. Sorry, I've come in too far here. The final kit, completed model, which looks just stunning. I think he's got the weathering just right. It's not too subtle. It's not too heavy. Just right. And then of course they have these 3 schemes that they ran, well 4 actually. There's the grey scheme, there was the Gulf scheme, the Star scheme, and the wraparound scheme. The wraparound one was one that broke down, I think. The day I went to Cosford to see these aircraft do their fly past, it was broken. So we had a grey one and a Star, and I think it was the Gulf one, from memory. The Scud Hunters artwork here, going back to what I was just showing you in my print that was framed. And then obviously we've got the Dam Busters, the very famous iconic breached dam on the tail. And then there's a number of other schemes. So he's giving you lots of ideas of different ways to go. And then he talks at the end, it's not just about Italeri, he's talking here about the Revel kit, 48th kit. And of course they produce that in the IDS format and also in the Gr.4 and Gr.4 farewell schemes. And then at the end he's talking about, here he's talking about how to make your IDS modify into a Gr.4, but that's another story, I think. But again, he makes a beautiful job of it, and you end up with another nice Gr.4. So you can't go wrong really with that either. So it's great advice throughout, and then a bit of finished examples of what that looked like. So you actually get sort of 2 in 1, if you like, with this book, because he's covering the whole of the Italeri build, and then he's also talking about the. Put these off a bit. And then he's also talking, of course, about the Revel one as well. So even if you haven't, decided to splash the cash in, because it's quite a chunk of notes were required for the Italeri kit. And if you decided just to go for the Revel one, this is just as pertinent. There's so many beautiful photographs that give you ideas about how to finish it and what the kit should look like, even in the smaller scale. It'd be very useful to you. Now, it's not a cheap kit, book I should say, £35, but I think that was money well spent. I'm going to really enjoy this. I've only flicked through it briefly with you now, but you can tell straight away that this is going to be worth every penny, every penny. So there we are. I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I know a lot of you were very, judging by the number of views I've had, I think over the 2 videos I've had the best part of 2,500, nearly 3,000 views. for this kit review that I did. And I said the only real negative that I saw was this problem I had, which has now thankfully been very nicely rectified by our friends at Hobbyco in Milton Keynes, and thanks, thumbs up to you, thank you very much for that. And it just shows that when a customer service person, you know, acts quickly and does the right thing, that everybody's happy again. And it's you know, the damage that was done is just forgotten about now. We're very happy with it, even if it was a bit pricey. Anyway, there we go. So I thought you'd enjoy something a bit different today. Nice to have a look at, you know, the posters and the prints. So if you're a big Tornado fan like me, you can get yourself some of those bits of memorabilia too. Get yourself the book, and if you can't afford this, which is very understandable, the price, then get yourself a Revel one. That book is still pertinent for you to help you with the Revel kit build as well. So hope that was interesting for you. Thanks for joining me. Nice to see you all. Please give us a thumbs up at the end if you would, and keep subscribing, share the video if you thought it was interesting and useful, and I hope to see you all again in the near future very, very soon. In the meantime, thanks a lot. Bye for now.